We could be on the verge of uncovering evidence that will change this case forever.
We're looking for an embargo.
Él vivía en el kilómetro 265.
We have never been closer. Right here, right now. Was your father a Nazi?
Sí, había muchos, no era el único. Bueno, él cuando tenía 14 años entró a la juventud hitleriana y a los 16 años entró a combate directamente.
This is his father.
Luftwaffe wings? Yeah.
He has some medals, he says, yeah.
That's Lion Cross First Class. This is the highest award of bravery. And he seems to have two of them. This is one very brave man.
Is there any information that you have of people that your father would have known that could have been high-level Nazis? We're looking for names, documents, dates.
No, nunca nos reveló ni nombre, ni rango, no conozco.
The thing is people don't like to talk because they have something to hide. And I know that your father's part of it. Who's this?
Es la foto de Adolf Hitler en misiones.
My heart's racing a little bit.
We have an alleged picture of an aged Adolf Hitler post-war.
If there was any evidence of his death, why haven't they produced it? This is Adolf Hitler.
Bob Baer, a 21-year CIA veteran and one of the most respected intelligence minds in the world, has dedicated his career to tracking some of the most notorious criminals, including Saddam Hussein.
I've spent so much time in the White House. Know firsthand what the government tells us is rarely true. And from the moment I started looking into this case, it didn't add up. Ignorance is bliss. The public does not want to believe that we lost Adolf Hitler.
In 2014, the FBI declassified over 700 pages of documents, placing Adolf Hitler around the globe after World War II, leading Bob to reopen the 70-year-old cold case, deploying dozens of experts, historians, and military manhunters, armed with the most cutting-edge technology to uncover the truth.
By investigating the FBI files, we are the first ones to put together facts about what really happened. In Berlin, we found no scientific evidence that he died in that bunker. We don't have a witness, we don't have a body.
Hemke could not tell whether he really had seen that Hitler was dead because he had not seen the body. Nobody sees his face and said that's him, unless it wasn't Hitler.
Hitler's bunker was connected with tunnels, which could have taken him to an airport. Flying's the way you want out of Berlin. In Spain, we have a witness, the monastery, placing Hitler there.
He saw here, with his eyes, Hitler. Here. Yeah.
As well as Nazi infrastructure, communications, and also escape routes.
German's fingerprints all over this place.
From Spain, he could have boarded a U-boat and got away from Europe.
What evidence of...
I don't know.
In Argentina, clue after clue pointed to the possibility he escaped into the countryside and set up multiple Nazi safe houses.
This could have been completely built in secret. If I'm gonna hide a high-value target, this is perfect.
You've got all this evidence everywhere. You've got all these possibilities, but the FBI files were not the final story on the hunt for Hitler.
After a year-long investigation across 6 countries and thousands of miles, Bob prepares to broaden the scope of his investigation.
The FBI has a very, very narrow aperture on the world. We need to open up the aperture. Look at that. 14,621 international files on Hitler alive.
Bob has now gotten unprecedented access to over 14,000 pages of declassified documents from every major intelligence agency around the world.
The Germans, the Argentinians, the Russians, the MI6.
Every intelligence agency in the world is looking at this. It's incredible. I mean, you have a full-on international manhunt for Adolf Hitler. We are completely in uncharted waters. For the first time, we are opening up these files and putting them all together. And they all had a different piece of the pie. And it's only when you put them all together are you going to come to the truth.
We were the first ones that did it. After the FBI documents were declassified, now we're the first ones that are acting on these declassified documents.
Bob is joined by the UN's premier war crimes investigator, Dr. John Sensich. They have integrated thousands of U.S. and international documents into a state-of-the-art computerized database.
This database is powerful. It looks at the relationships between information, finding patterns, finding words, finding evidence. This is an amazing opportunity to help us get to the answer of these questions that have been looming for decades.
So we're starting a whole new phase of this investigation. Now that we have these files, I want to go back to the beginning. Hitler's last known location, April 1945, Berlin. And we're going to carry it forward. Look, John, we've established that a bunch of airplanes left Tempelhof on the 21st of April.
Others left from Tempelhof. There were about 8 or 10 aircraft.
We know that he could have been on one of those airplanes.
It's still feasible that he could have used Tempelhof. But we were looking at this through the documents of the United States government. Maybe there really is a plan B, a plan C, and a plan D that we don't know about.
If you're a world leader, you've got to have contingencies. You simply do not have one way out, because you have one way out, that's how you end up in an ambush. We've got the database, and to establish the specifics, to move from theory to real evidence, I think that's where we've got to go next. Let's get into it and start looking at this stuff. Hitler plane, worldwide, Berlin, date, 1945.
Soviet Union, CIA.
Hey, look at this. This is an MI6 file. A certain Luftwaffe pilot, Captain Baumgart, swore under oath that he flew Hitler from Berlin on 29 April 1945. Hitler was supposed to have committed suicide on the 30th, so this is the day before.
He says he swears under oath, but we all know there are people that swear under oath that don't tell the truth. What we need to do now is to look into this database and find out if there's any other evidence or leads that we can track down to corroborate his statement.
Let's see what we got. There we go. Look at this one.
This is coming from the U.S. Army. On the day Hitler left Berlin, the Germans made a counterattack in order to clear a strip from which the plane could take off. The two reports go hand in hand, and they lend credence to one another.
Sounds like to me this is a makeshift airstrip. Clear a roadway, whatever you have, and take off. The tenor of this completely changes when you have a name and a plane and a day and a makeshift runway, and we're going to paint a complete picture for the first time. In the context of looking for Hitler's escape route, we are now getting into specifics for the first time. I want to touch something and feel something.
We can determine where that makeshift runway was. That's powerful information. We need to send a team out there to explore all of those possibilities. Right now, we've got good leads. Let's see if we can turn this into some type of evidence.
This is a huge breakthrough. Let's do it.
Baumgart was consistent every time he told the story. To me, as an investigator, you know, that's curiosity right there.
Lenny DePaul, former commander of the U.S. Marshals Fugitive Task Force, is on the ground in Berlin.
I've been hunting fugitives for a long time. I continue to look at things until that case is over. You know, in my world, there's no more exciting news that you can get than discover new intel. A 70-year-old cold case. I'm not going to give up. I need to get to the bottom of this thing.
Lenny is joined by Sasha Kyle, expert on Berlin during World War II.
Is this it? Number 10. In any investigation, you have to go back to the scene of the crime and work your way forward. Peter Baumgart flew Hitler out on a makeshift runway, then we'll find out. Christoph, how are you?
The team makes contact with Christoph Neubauer, forensic reconstructionist and the world's leading expert on Hitler's bunker.
I use this to show you something here.
Christoph Neubauer is a valuable person to me. This guy, over the years, has studied the Führer bunker better than anybody. He's able to develop the state-of-the-art technology to give us a 3D look at the Führer bunker. He can bring me back 70 years to the scene of the crime.
So basically we're having here the chancellery where Hitler used to live and what used to be his headquarters, and it's like a whole city block.
Huge.
So, and inside you find the Führer bunker.
This is allegedly where Adolf Hitler kills himself.
So far there are now 4 main exits out of the bunker.
These were the exit that we thought took him to Tempelhof Airport.
But recently I found very close to the bunker another one.
Another one what?
I found an exit very close to the bunker.
Are you kidding me?
If you have here the Führer bunker, just 20 to 25 meters away, you could walk into a new tunnel.
Okay.
And you see here a very small entrance. You have steps going down, one door, and a cover. And all this would have been invisible.
Why all of a sudden we find the tunnel? How did you stumble onto this?
I check in archives a lot, and there is a photograph I came across, taken by American soldiers after the Second World War.
Look at that.
Do you see how close is this?
So the Führer bunker's here. It's going to be here, and now I'm walking 75 feet, and I go back down in the ground. You know, I thought I had some pretty hot leads the last time I was here. This is the hottest. That's exit number 5. We've only known about 4 for the past 70 years. So for us to get our hands on this is unbelievable. Could lead me right to this makeshift runway. Now Hitler's got another way out. So from the Führer bunker, you travel 75 feet into this tunnel.
Lenny DePaul and Sasha Kyle have just made a shocking discovery.
You're telling me if Hitler himself wanted to, let's say, exit the Führer bunker into this tunnel, he's back underground again.
With the help of forensic reconstructionist Christoph Neubauer, they have just uncovered a 5th and never-before-known escape route from Hitler's Führer bunker. The team is following a declassified MI6 file that claims Luftwaffe pilot Peter Baumgart flew Hitler out of Berlin from a makeshift runway on April 29, 1945, the day before Hitler was believed to have committed suicide.
Our association is working 15, 20 years on this area, and we never found in any document, photo, or archive such a tunnel.
This is a breakthrough, even in my work for the last 15 years. We never knew that there could be another exit from this bunker. This is a complete shock. The big question is, if Adolf Hitler decided to take that route out of the Führer bunker, where does he go? The tunnel leads to someplace.
The East German Secret Service, the Stasi, in 1973, they started a big investigation. They were interested in tunnels exactly in the same location, because on top of the tunnel, exactly there, was the Berlin Wall.
At the end of World War II, Berlin was turned over to the Allied forces. The French, British, and Americans occupied the western section of the city, and the Soviets controlled the east. As the Cold War intensified, the Soviets built the Berlin Wall, a 96-mile barrier to prevent defectors from fleeing to West Berlin. The Stasi, the East German secret police, generated hundreds of maps and eyewitness accounts of escape routes that were built during Hitler's regime that could be used to escape under the Berlin Wall.
I went through all the thousands of secret files there. I actually found one which specifically relates to this tunnel. We see this would have gone all the way to Teardam. on Brandenburg Gate.
What is the Tiergarten? What exactly is the Tiergarten?
Yeah, for you, probably the best explanation is the Central Park of New York is the Tiergarten for Berlin.
From my perspective, I got somebody that's the most wanted man in the world. He's not going to pop up in the middle of Central Park.
It does not fit. It does not fit.
I want you to show me visually on the map of the compound where this tunnels would have been. All right, so here's the Tiergarten, correct?
Exactly.
So here's the big question. Why is he heading in this direction? What's his end game? What's he thinking about? Where's he going? That's what I need to know. There's got to be a destination. Hitler, once again, has got a way out.
This is a fantastic find. This here, at this location, is the entrance to what we now call exit number 5.
Bob Baer and Dr. John Sensich review the findings from the team's investigation in Berlin.
You know what strikes me as so interesting is that they had taken the time to build these tunnels. I mean, it's not something you know, the Russians are approaching 100 miles away, you start building. I mean, they were planning this years in advance with a purpose. This is the great thing about the files, that we're going from the realm of speculation to the real possibility of a clandestine exfiltration to a makeshift runway.
I want to show you a document that I just came across. We didn't find this before because we were only looking at the FBI files. This document is an Argentinian document. Look what they've got here. Nazis, upon arriving to Argentina, took refuge in a militarized outpost in Misiones.
That's great, I love it. Earlier in this investigation, we found 3 structures that are completely isolated in the middle of the jungle in Argentina.
This could have been a real hideout location for somebody on the run.
And we already know that at the compound the team's been to, they found photographs, Nazi paraphernalia, the photographs with people wearing the Nazi uniforms, the medicine.
Most of the medicines are for the stomach problems.
That was consistent with the type of medicine used by Hitler for his own particular ailment. It's pretty suspicious. Whoever was living in this residence had a lot of money, a lot of connections to Nazis, and the number one suspect is Adolf Hitler.
You know, when we first went to Misiones, I was picturing it as sort of a lair, you know, get away from the police, hide out, get away from communications. But this file is something entirely different. You're actually talking about a defensible, militarized zone. It's amazing.
Yeah, and they describe it as an outpost. And you know, if you really stop and think about the military component, if it's militarized for one purpose only, and that's to defend a very important figure.
Militarized outpost is telling me that we have guards, weapons, supplies, anything you need to protect somebody like Hitler.
Well, I'd like to find out from an archaeologist on the ground there, is there anything that would indicate that it indeed was militarized?
I think we should call Daniel up.
The team makes contact with Daniel Chavozone, the head archaeologist who has continued to excavate the Nazi site in Misiones, Argentina for the last year.
Hello?
Daniel, this is Bob Baer and John.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, we've come across a report that says that there was a military compound in Misiones.
This is very interesting. We are working every day and we are finding thousands of the remains at the site. And we discovered something absolutely amazing. We just find a new building. You need to see it. It's impressive.
This militarized zone in Misiones very well could be no different than what bin Laden did in Afghanistan. Set up a base in a country that's fairly friendly. We got to get Tim back there. I mean, he spent his career building bases that are defensible. I want his opinion.
I can't really wait to get the team down there and start looking at this and seeing what type of concrete evidence we can develop from it.
If we find an extensive Nazi base in Argentina, we are really breaking new ground. God, this rock's gonna be slippery.
Tim Kennedy, U.S. Army Special Forces, returns to the jungles of Misiones, Argentina, to follow a declassified Argentinian document that reports this area was once home to a Nazi militarized outpost.
I've spent the majority of my career working in the military mindset. If this was a military compound, just taking that lens and looking at it with a different perspective might tell us everything we need to know.
We might find nothing, but we might get lucky.
Tim is joined by Dr. Alasdair Brooks, a historical archaeologist who has spent his career unraveling the mysteries of the early 20th century.
Archaeology is always about the excitement of discovery. Looking at those objects coming out of the ground, looking at how they relate to the site. The artifactual evidence will tell us who wanted this built here and why.
I gotta step here. Thanks.
They head for a new fourth structure that is less than a mile from 3 previously discovered stone structures that could have housed a high-value Nazi target on the run.
Daniel.
Hey!
They make contact with Daniel Chavalzone, who has been working around the clock to uncover artifacts from the area around the fourth structure.
15 y para allá. We found what we think is a belt.
The belt?
Belt. Yeah. It's heavy. It's not the normal, you know.
It was cut clean, had very clean lines. I mean, it looked more military. If you look at my belt, this is a military issue belt that I got 15 years ago. Yeah. That belt looks stunningly similar to my belt.
Yeah.
This is our first clue that there could have been a military complex here. But we're not done yet. So I need to get my eyes on this new building. Watch your foot through here.
Here we are. That's the building.
That is huge.
Bigger than I expected.
It's massive. Yes. Why is this in the middle of the jungle?
Is this typical?
No, absolutely no.
That's quite a large structure. We could potentially look at these fittings around the doors and the windows for a preliminary date for this.
Yes, sure.
I'm interested in these nails. Historical archaeologists call these wire nails. They're industrially mass-produced, so we're getting 20th century architecture here rather than something earlier.
This structure dates to the 1940s. That much is fairly clear.
Standing here, I see similarities to buildings 1, 2, and 3. Are these stones the same as the other building?
Oh yes. The stone, the plaster, the windows, the frames. There are a lot of similarities, but there are a lot of differences.
These doors are really wide.
Absolutely. Here you see there was a door of 2 parts, to open all. This is not normal in your house.
Absolutely not normal. This isn't for residential use. This isn't for a family moving in and out. Everything feels powerful, thick, durable, and industrial. The first thing that stands out to me about this is the open floor layout. If I were to envision what this use was, this feels like military barracks. This is where you line up bunk beds and put soldiers. 1 floor, 2 floor, wide open. If you had heavy equipment, you're obviously going to be putting it on the ground floor. You're going to have people sleeping on the floor above it. This is built like a military support structure. 4 feet thick walls with doors that you can push pallets of ammunition through. If this is a military complex, you have to have a place to house your personnel. This could be just that. You're going to be limiting access to protect what you're storing in here. And if you're going to be hiding and protecting Adolf Hitler, you're going to have a building like this.
This information has the potential to really change the entire course of our investigation.
While the field team continues to explore the jungles of Argentina, Bob and John review the findings from the German leg of their investigation, where a declassified MI6 document reporting that Adolf Hitler was flown from a makeshift runway in Berlin on April 29, 1945, led the team to uncover a never-before-known fifth exit from Hitler's Fuhrer bunker.
Well, for me, the most mysterious part is exit 5. Here's the entry.
From there, it goes into a tunnel. Precisely at this point, the East German secret police, the Stasi, were conducting their own investigation.
A declassified Stasi file reveals that this fifth exit would have connected to a 2,000-foot-long tunnel ending at the base of the Brandenburg Gate. This iconic monument marks the beginning of Tiergarten Park, which was redesigned by Hitler to be the crown jewel of his capital city.
So what did he get him getting in the middle of the Tiergarten at the Brandenburg Gate?
Brandenburg Gate, Hitler, plane. Let's take a look at this document here. So this is dated December 29, 1949. The reporting agency is the Soviet Union. A plane, which was piloted by Hannah Reich on the 28th of April, flew out of Berlin from the Brandenburg Gate.
According to this document, it looks like it was a runway. It was a makeshift runway. And they're flying out as late as the 28th of April.
Which is only one day before Captain Baumgart flew Hitler from perhaps the same location.
If Hannah Reich leaves on the 28th, makes it out successfully, a test run if you like, Hitler could have got out of Berlin the day after. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Could this be the makeshift runway Hitler used to escape from Berlin? Is it even reasonable to fly in and get out on the 29th of April when the Russians were circling the city?
We can go in and we can corroborate that there was indeed this makeshift airstrip. We may really have something here.
Hannah Reich, she's able to fly a plane in and out of here on April 28th. Allegedly, on April 29th, Baumgart flies Hitler out of here.
Lanny DePaul and Sasha Kyle investigate the avenue running from the Brandenburg Gate through Tiergarten Park in search of evidence that it could have been used as a makeshift runway.
So, Sasha, take me back, let's say April 20th to the 30th. Did the Nazis occupy this area right here?
From the Brandenburg Gate to the Victory Column, this was defended to the last hours of the Third Reich. This was the last stronghold controlled by German army and by Hitler. All the other airstrips and airports were down and forced by the Russians in these days.
Victory Column was what?
In the massive foundation of the Victory Column, they placed the radar control and aircraft control.
Can we get in the Victory Column?
Yes.
You can get me up top?
Yeah, let's go.
I got to see this. What a vantage point that would be.
It was a kind of jewel, a gem of the government. It was a hotspot for the fighting in the last war days.
Oh, this whole place was shot up.
The Russians with General Konyev, the troops were just over there a few hundred meters, and they knew that German soldiers were inside.
Look at these bullet holes, Sasha. I can't believe this. This was pretty much the last stand for the Germans. So this place was held up for a reason.
By April 24th, 1945, the advancing Soviet army encircled the once pristine capital of the Third Reich. With each passing day, the Soviets tightened their grip around the heart of Berlin, forcing nearly all remaining Nazi troops to retreat and defend a 4-square-mile area of the inner government district, which included the Fuhrer bunker, Tiergarten Park, and the Victory Column.
I got chills just thinking about the Russians are outside, shooting at us with everything they got. The Russians were 100 meters out. High-ranking Nazi officials, they knew they were signing their death warrant right there. Why would they be here? Oh, wow. Holy cow, look at this. You gotta be kidding. You can see any Russian aircraft coming in. Makes sense from this vantage point. You got a makeshift runway right here. There's only one reason that the Nazis would be held up here in this tower. This is basically an air traffic control tower. Where's the Fuhrer bunker from here? 600 meters?
6 to 700. but not more.
He could jump in the tunnels through the Tier Garden to here.
The team has now uncovered a new exit from Hitler's Führer bunker that would have led to a tunnel below Tiergarten Park and connected directly to a massive boulevard extending from the Brandenburg Gate.
I get the length of this as a makeshift runway, but width-wise, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, look at the length, it's perfect. What about these lampposts? How are you going to get wings of an airplane down here? Like every 15, 20 yards apart, right?
Hundreds, the whole line.
Taking a look at the lampposts that were every 10 meters apart, it would have been very risky to accommodate an aircraft. Not only was Adolf Hitler tactically sound, he was a forward thinker. I mean, those lampposts could have easily clipped a wing and that whole escape plan would have been grounded. And it's just a gut feeling, but as a criminal investigator, it just doesn't add up. The way it looks right now, for the wingspan of this aircraft to get up and down this runway, it's a death trap.
That's an eerie looking building, and I can just imagine what had occurred there.
While waiting for an update from the German leg of their investigation, Bob and John focused their attention to the findings from the jungles of Misiones, Argentina, where they have discovered a new fourth structure in the same area that a declassified Argentinian document reports a Nazi militarized outpost after World War II.
I think this is just an anomaly. It's just like glaring, huge. Who builds a two-story structure with reinforced walls, very thick, bolts, in the middle of the jungle? I mean, it looks like somebody took a plan from maybe a barracks and said, all right, go put this in Misiones, out in the jungle where nobody could see it. The more we get into the Misiones site, the more it starts looking like something military-related. According to the Argentine report, this was a military zone, and voila, what do we have here? A military-type structure. You put soldiers there, supplies, and then that would protect the main residences. I truly think this is huge. I mean, I think it is huge.
Always lingered in my mind in the first part of our investigation is, okay, if it was Hitler that's in that building or some other high-value target,
Yeah.
where are the people that are providing the security for him? Are they living in the same
exactly.
building?
I mean, he just didn't go out there and set up his mansion, you know, and do everything himself. But now we're talking about someplace you could put personnel that wouldn't be right in where you lived.
I'd like to see artifacts that relate to soldiers that would be used for the protection of a high-value target. If this was a militarized outpost, you need soldiers to fortify it. And so they would have left evidence behind. I think we're clever enough to
Find out who's in that building.
exactly.
These are the artifacts.
Yeah, here are all the artifacts.
Deep in the jungles of Misiones, Daniel Chabozan has granted Tim Kennedy and Alasdair Brooks access to his base camp, the home for thousands of artifacts Daniel has uncovered from the four structures that make up this Nazi jungle hideout.
This is from all the sites you've been working on?
Absolutely all came from inside the site.
Find the two-story building significant. We need to find clues in these artifacts that will tell me who the people are that were using it and what they were doing here.
How many artifacts have you found in your excavation work?
For the moment, over 4,000 fragments and items, but we keep digging.
As you'd likely expect, my eyes were caught by the ceramics.
Yeah, you're an expert on that.
This one's particularly interesting to me. A gravy boat in the middle of the jungle? That suggests a certain level of dining activity. And these structures are in the middle of nowhere. Why would you have a level of formal dining, a level of that aspiration to gentility in these households?
I don't think there's any question that anybody can doubt that somebody was